everyone. My name is Nancy Cavanis, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on rebuilding race participation. And it's a bit of a crash course of our products, our tools, and our features. Today's session will address trends in registration, putting some of our most basic features to work for you, getting super creative, and how to track your success. We're going to get started here shortly, but first I'd like to go over a few quick housekeeping notes to keep everything running smoothly. You will have the ability to minimize or maximize the control panel using the arrow button in the upper left corner. And as for questions, even though all attendees are muted throughout the session, we do encourage you to submit them using the question pane that you'll find on the control panel. We will get to questions as time allows. If your question doesn't get answered during today's session, though, somebody will follow up with you. Within about 24 to 48 hours, a recording of this webinar will be shared with everyone who is registered. So there's really no need to take notes if you just prefer to watch and learn. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Steve Bingham-Hawk, Account Manager with RunSignup, who will be presenting today's webinar. Take it away, Steve.
All right. Thanks so much, Nancy. I'm happy to be here and talk with you all today, which is about a really relevant topic, right? I mean, if this hasn't come up in your meetings with your team, I'm sure it will be. It might be a weekly discussion, right? How do we bounce back is essentially what we're talking about today. How do we rebuild race participation? So what we're going to cover first is just talk about, what's happening with race registrations. We did a report with some statistics back at our summer symposium in Philadelphia. So we're going to update with some more stats on that. Talk about how do we return to the basics, the ABCs of registration to make sure that we're setting up with a foundation for success. And then talk about those folks that have been coming back, maybe at least 1 year or multiple years. How do we bring them back to our event? And then how do we get creative? And we're going to specifically drill down on that piece with a discussion on referrals. And then none of this matters if we can't track our success and figure out what's working and how do we pivot so that we can optimize our races on the platform for future success. So what's happening with race registrations? So yes, they are down, but it is complicated. There are some nuances to the registration data. First, I want to show you sort of what the percentage change is compared from 2019 to 2022, and you'll see that these are all negative numbers right now in the industry, right? And we've been going up and down with some brighter spots, obviously in February and May, and then recently in August. But just last month, we were down 20% across the board with registrations. So that doesn't necessarily mean what's on our platform as we continue to grow as a company and gain market share, but just as races overall. And then we need to look at, are all races down, or does it depend on what size they are, how big they are? And yes, the answer is yes, it does. So our smaller races are seeing explosive growth with that 60%. When we're getting into sort of that mid-level, which I think the majority of us are at that 500 to 5,000 mark, that's where you're getting into those double-digit numbers down. And then we're seeing those really strong, large events are increasing at almost 20%, right? So that's really interesting data. And I think that gives us sort of something to shoot for, like what are those large races doing well? And you can say like, well, they've got a big database to draw from, right? They've got a lot of people that have supported them over the years. And so that's an easier and bigger springboard to jump off from. But, and especially when we talk about referrals, how can we act like a 5,000 person event when we have, significantly less? And then we just wanted to show this age breakdown as well. And it's not surprising to see that the core of our participants in that 30 to 59 range, but we're highlighting the younger population, so the 18 to 29-year-olds, because of course they're going to be filtering and feeding into those older age brackets as they move on in life. But how do we capture them now and get their attention? How do we increase that percentage so that it's feeding the industry as we go forward for years to come? So let's talk about the challenges that we're facing. First of all, we need to make sure that we're finding our runners. I think the old strategy of maybe making the best event possible and then throwing it out into the world and hoping that everybody comes running to it because it's so amazing, that's part of it, right? Still, but let's talk about where are people at right now? What are their comfort levels? What types of events do they like to participate, and when are they wanting to do it? You know, we've all seen a lot of calendars shifting because of the pandemic with different closures. It seems like things are starting to return a little bit, but maybe there's opportunities where there weren't before at different times of the year. But in general, we're wanting to rebuild those traditions so that people are putting it on their calendar from the beginning, your race. So how do you make sure that people can have confidence so they can count on your event again and make sure that they commit to it and feel like you're committing to them by, you know, getting on the same weekend every year if possible. Reaching new runners, again, appealing to younger runners, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But I think one overarching message that we want to bring to you all today is that we have to be flexible and creative. So those marketing plans that worked really well in 18 and 19 seasons, we maybe don't just copy and paste that, right? We've got to think outside the box. We've got to get fresh ideas. So let's get back to sort of the ABCs and the foundation of registration. And so we wanted to bring forth our philosophy at RunSignup about event marketing to sort of kick that off. And the first piece is your data is your data. So we are not using any participant data that is being collected for marketing purposes other than to understand trends, as well as to improve our product so that everybody does better. But just like you don't want anybody spamming your folks, we're not going to spam other folks about your races. We don't get in the business of that. Your data is your data only. Another part of our philosophy is we feel that the most effective marketing is coming from sources that people trust. And who is better than your supporters, those folks that have registered for your event in the past, have participated, or have committed and are going to participate in the future. Those folks are your ambassadors. So make sure that you're engaging them in your marketing. And that means that you're activating your community. That will go so much further than any paid ad ever would. And then technology, it matters. So you can have the best idea, the best brand, the best people on the ground, the best reputation, but you've got to have, these days, you've got to have good technology to back this up so that it breaks through all the noise of all the devices and all of the data that people are collecting with all the content out there, right? And those tools, they need to be at your fingertips. They need to be easy to set up, to customize, to track, and to optimize. That's the key piece. You've got to be able to have it in your hands so you can go in and make changes on your own, a self-serve platform that we pride ourselves on, and be able to pivot when things are doing well so that you lean more into a certain strategy, or when it's not doing so well, to change quickly so that you can change the course and the destiny of your event. And I want to mark on this point that this doesn't mean that there has to be another budget line item. Technology does not have to mean cost. And I think that's one thing that we do amongst so many other things so well here, is building a free platform that's accessible to everyone, where you've got tools that are not just marketing and pricing related, but you've also got free websites, free emails that all ties into one environment that's going to create a really optimal place for success to foster and grow. So if you haven't done this next exercise that kind of this slide is representing here, I want you to do it. Okay, so why should people come to your event? Why is your event special? Why should people register at your event over others, right? If you have not gotten this down on paper with your team yet, I highly encourage you to do that, because just the exercise itself, you may not even come back to it for too many times afterwards, but just going through the exercise to decide what is the personality of your event? Like, how do people talk about you? How do they describe your event? What is your target audience or audiences? How are you segmenting the people that are registering for your event and who you want to come to your event? Because that's going to dictate and change how you're going to message to them and market to them. And then what's the value proposition? What are you providing for folks? Are you an obstacle course event, so you're providing this sense of adventure? Are you really focused on a particular cause that people are passionate about, and so it's all about contributing to a community or help eradicating a disease, for example? Is it about creating a long experience prior to event day where people are really holding their health as a priority in their life to get trained up for a 26.2 mile run? Or is it more about that experience on event day with others, whether that's as part of your community or something that a value that you all share together, or from like a relay perspective, right? Where you're trying to achieve one endurance goal by breaking it up into smaller bits, and as a team, you're completing that large goal. So you need to check all these things, check these boxes in terms of, can you answer all these questions? What's the personality? What are your target audiences? And what's the value proposition? Okay, so if you haven't done it, do that. And I also encourage you, if you haven't done it, is create a brand guideline so that you really understand, what is the logo that everyone's using? What are the colors you're using? The fonts that you're using? How are those things being used? Man, if you package all that together and your team is square on how you're presenting yourselves, that is invaluable in terms of how you can move forward and be successful. So I want to lean now into how we're reaching different community spaces, okay? And so because running groups haven't been optimal or at 100%, since the pandemic, and some are returning to that, which is awesome, and events haven't been there at 100% capacity. Let's go back then and say, look, we can't rely on what we've done in the past. Let's pretend it's our first year. And I think that's a great space to be in general, when we're seeing these downturns like this. But how do we rebuild relationships with our community stakeholders? Because we can't operate in a vacuum or just posting ads on Facebook or Instagram or any of your other, TikTok, any of your social media preferred platforms. Think about what's going on locally. So running clubs, running stores, your gyms, your local nonprofits, and guys, your local sponsors. I think that organizers tend to think about, what is my event? What's my cause, my nonprofit? Then I'll go get my sponsors. You can reverse that story actually and go to your local healthcare provider or your largest employer in your community and talk to them about, have you guys ever wanted to do an event before? Or you've been a partner for so many years, we'd love to make it even bigger and you become our title sponsor. And if you don't have a specific cause that you're going for and you want to support just a nonprofit cause, and maybe you change every year, ask them what's important to them, because all of these corporations, they have groups, nonprofits, causes that they are working towards in other campaigns and in other aspects of their company. So just think in a different way. Sponsors can maybe be your first step instead of your third, fourth, or fifth step. Also looking at community festivals and events. So again, people that like to go out and connect with those in their community and be in public spaces and like to be around large crowds, those are your people, right? They're going to be coming to a large endurance event. And then schools and daycares, again, hitting that family element, and then other local race directors. It's amazing when people collaborate, who are working in the same spaces together, what can come of that. You'd be surprised, you might be surprised with a new relationship that's not just, oh, can I come to your event and promote my event? How could we work together all year long so that we both have success? All right, so some do's and don'ts for running clubs. So, it might be easy to just go and post on a group's Facebook page, and not to say that there's no value there, but I think what that tends to do, and we all see it ourselves, right? When somebody posts like, hey, come to my event, when you're going on another running club's page, and it feels a little bit one-sided, right? Like, I want you to do something, but think about, what can you bring to the table for these running clubs so that they're getting value and their members are getting value? And I think part of that is really establishing a relationship, and just posting something that literally takes 5 seconds is not a relationship, right? So go out and join them for a run, and maybe not just once, right? And I'm not saying you have to show up every morning for Run Club, but maybe it's once a week, maybe it's every 2 weeks, maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once every quarter. But man, that is, just doing one of those is better than nothing, right? And then to think about that value you can bring, can you bring some old swag that people would really appreciate having, or can you provide a discount, right? So let me come to your running club, guys. I want to be a part of it. I want you to come to my event as well, but we value this club and our relationship and our partnership, so I'm going to offer you a special discount. And that's how I'm bringing something to the table. And then always be looking for new clubs. So I know we've got those spreadsheets that were probably started in 16, 17, 18, 19, and are they still valid? Are those clubs still operating? Are you sending an email to an abyss that nobody's responding to? What other new clubs have popped up? So make sure that you're updating those contacts and keeping, you know, really fresh with what's happening and who are the players in your community. And then don't discount virtual communities. Obviously, that came out of the pandemic, and I think some of them are still really going strong. So make sure that you have a presence there as well. Now, when you're working with running clubs, there's a couple of ways that you can help incentivize them to, you know, that will help you succeed. So one of those, you know, if they already have a club set up with on our platform on RunSignup, you can offer the ability in your registration flow, and I'm kind of mixing 1 and 2 together here on my slide, but you can offer a discount to your event if they're part of a club, right? Or you can also offer the opportunity for them to join that club while they're registering for your race and do that at a discount. The other opportunities you should be looking for is if there's a club, are they even on RunSignup? And maybe they're hosting an event there that's featured on our platform, didn't even know about the club aspect, or maybe they're doing none of it, and it's a great way to be introduced to RunSignup at all these awesome products and features that we're going over today and that y'all who are on it have been using for years. And when everybody's, you know, familiar working on that same sort of, you know, system, then there's going to be more a symbiotic relationship and one that's going to help each other succeed and grow. Now, print advertising, it's not dead. You can still do posters and flyers, guys. It doesn't all have to be digital. And so you can add a quick text link or a QR code to reach people. You can use it on posters and flyers. Maybe you ask your local running store if they could put it up somewhere. Maybe you're putting it on a core board, and every time you go to a running club, you put that on the course that they're running so they can quickly scan it or quickly text a number to get a URL sent to their phone. And these quick text and QR links are just awesome. We've got these default options that take you to the sign up link where they can register, or to make a donation, to access photos, get their results, or to sign up to volunteer. Okay, and these different options give people, you know, the choice to use what they're comfortable with. Some folks, you know, I think most people understand QR codes, but some are still, you know, a little bit uneasy about it. So giving them the quick text message is a way to do it. Plus, with the quick text link, that's going to stay on their phone in their text history so they can access it later. And then to think about, again, you're going to these running clubs, but where else can you go and get boots on the ground? What are these live events, opportunities where you can get live registrations? So things like this would be a local race expo. So an upcoming race, maybe you can have a booth there, maybe you're standing outside. You know, of course, with any of these, you want to be a good neighbor and a good community member within the race world and events, that you're going to contact these folks in advance, right? And let them know, like, I'd really love to promote my event. And maybe, again, talking about how you can bring value to the table for the person that you're asking something from is offer that, well, you can have a booth at our expo, so let's do a swap, right? And now you're building a sense of community, you're building that relationship, and you're both supporting each other. Thinking about running store events. So, you know, we all love those big tent sales in the parking lot when the running stores are trying to get rid of last season's apparel, getting ready for the new shoe shipment. That's a great opportunity to talk about your event. Any family festival, again, you know, you get one parent on board and you might have 3, 4, 5 people on board after that. And those again are folks that like to go to outdoor public events. So those are your market. Those are folks that may want to be active and be in those situations around other people. And then again at a gym or a workout facility. So, and one thing that we have, and I should have pointed this out earlier, but I'll do it now. You see these links at the bottom here are these pathways with the pink dashboard location. So this is where in our platform you can find these features that we're talking about. So if you're watching this from home later, or you're looking at it now, you can be going into your dashboard now to actually see what I'm talking about. And here what I'm highlighting is how you can create sort of a faster way to register. You can configure a link such that it takes off some of the questions that are asked in the normal flow, so that it's really easy for somebody on a mobile device. You can also distinguish that if they're using a mobile device, only ask these certain questions and don't ask these other ones. So again, you're making it as quick and easy as possible. So much customization and flexibility on our platform that just arms you with so many tools to succeed and do it in a way that works for you. So race calendars, obviously that's a really key part of the endurance industry. We do a lot for you already, and actually through our affiliates, they contribute 10% of the 2021 registrations on our platform. So posting on major calendars like runningintheusa.com, halfmarathons.net, and then of course anybody that's on our platform, your partners, running stores, timers, they may be using our calendars to list out what events are part of their portfolio, and so you're included on that. But the things that you should be seeking out that we're not doing. So any running stores that are not on our platform, and talking to them about how they could come over to RunSignup to be able to use our calendar features, or what calendars are they using, so that way we can be part of those. And then looking at your local newspapers and your local media, any other big, large social groups that you can get on their calendar as an upcoming event. And then I want to lean in now into groups and teams. So making things social, you want to make things fun, because especially with that younger demographic, you want those Instagrammable moments, right? And by doing that, and in order to do that, you need to make sure that there's an opportunity for people to gather and to connect. So there's different types of ways that people like to do that, right? So from a social aspect, maybe they want to get together with their local community members or their friends and family. So it's a social activity, or it's competitive. So, for your more endurance focused folks that, or even sprint, that want to be competing against other teams, maybe you're leaning into that piece of your marketing. If it's a relay, so I'm not going to do 100 miles, but I'm going to do 20 miles, each of us, 5 of us together to finish a relay, right? So that's something that it's a different experience, but it's one that, connects people. And then of course, corporate groups and teams. So remember that corporations are always looking for opportunities to have their folks connect. And hey, if you've got an event, that cuts out the need for their event planner to plan a new event at their facilities, right? And incur all those costs. Like, you're kind of doing that for them. So give it on a silver platter to them and say, hey, look, come on over here. We value health and fitness and doing good in our community and supporting nonprofit causes. You do too as a corporation. We align on those values. So help us grow a team at your company, and we'll take care of you at our race. All right, and then add an incentive for people that are creating these teams and joining these teams. So you can offer refunds if you get to a certain team size, for example. Maybe you set or configure it to 5 people. As soon as you hit 5 people, those first 4 people get an automatic refund that you don't touch. Nobody touches. It just happens in the background to their bank accounts, and then everybody going forward gets a discount. There's so many cool tips and tricks that you can learn on our knowledge base about how to automate and provide these incentives with teams as well as individuals. And then take the rewards offline. So it doesn't have to be a refund. I mean, we find that to be very much a driver, but also offering those on-site perks like special parking or private restrooms or a hospitality tent that all the top teams get to join, or maybe they get their very own tent that you cater. So you can add all these tiers and levels that are going to incentivize the teams to continue to bring in more members, which in turn is going to grow your event and bring registration back up. And then wanted to point out this recent Running USA runner survey. It found that runners that were under 25 are 2.5 times likely to prefer relay events compared to other age groups. So that's something to think about. If we're focused on a younger demographic, does that mean that we need to add a relay to our event? Or do we need to market our relay event in a bigger way than we have in the past? So let's talk about leaning more towards the participants that we've had coming back over the years, and how do we make sure that they come back this year and next year? This is kind of obvious, but I think it's important in every aspect of life. We all want to feel important. We want to feel valued. We want to feel like we have a voice. And we want to feel like a VIP. So our loyalty program allows you to do that. You can offer special perks to those folks that have participated with you in the past, and give them sort of first crack at registration before anybody else. And so you can use that using our loyalty program. You can include, or we recommend to include several years. You don't have to do just the previous year. So give that to as many people as you can. The more perks, more folks that you can extend that to. Of course, you want to make it still a little bit exclusive, so not everybody's getting all the benefits. But you don't have to just limit it to last year, is our point there. And then getting creative with your loyalty program, you can pair that with your multi-use reserved entry, and that multiplies the power of a loyalty program. And our first example that we're giving here is to offer the 2019 participants a special link where they can register and save $20 off of 2022 pricing. And you can use that multi-use reserve. You can also use single use so that you create unique URLs to a list that you upload. It will send out and give those people first crack to a special event, an event within your race that others don't have access to, and it could be a discounted one as well. Here's one, the example too, a registration is closed to the public, but you want to offer 50 VIPs who have never missed a year the opportunity to register. You can upload those 50, they get a unique URL that only they can use to register. And then let's think about social media. So one thing that I think I love about our platform is that you're not tied into just a default picture like a logo or a banner image that is not customizable. You can actually customize the description or the text that's going to appear when somebody shares your event on social media, as well as the actual image that appears. So you can have the logo that you want that makes sense on your website, but you can have a completely different image that makes more sense in social media. And that, I think that's really an important distinction. Then also you can use Facebook custom audiences to reach your previous participants where they are. So be uploading your list in Facebook, if you didn't know you could do this, of your past participants. So those ads are going straight to the people that you know are interested in your event rather than people that might be interested. And email, we talk about it a lot because it's very, very important. And one thing that is really important on our platform about email is that it is free, you guys. Unlimited contacts, unlimited lists, unlimited sends. So if you're paying a subscription fee to MailChimp or Constant Contact or one of the other ones, it might make sense to keep that, but it might also make a whole lot of sense to stop incurring that cost and to use our system. What it does is it allows you to access the system lists, our default lists that have previous participants, donors, and volunteers that you can email directly to. You can also upload your own custom lists, again, unlimited from past year's data. You can use custom replacement tags so that it takes your emails and makes them feel like a personal invitation. That's really, really important. And you're doing that in seconds by inserting a data replacement tag. And it's going to feel like you spent days customizing all these emails to everybody. And we are constantly coming out with new features and products. And one that was very recent is that we have new fundraiser replacement tags for those that have that nonprofit element or have that piece to your event. And so I wanted to encourage you that if you're not already subscribing to our blog, you should. So RunSignup.blog, and you can enter your email address to subscribe. And also, if you have any ticketing events with us on our ticketing platform, TicketSignup, you can do that at TicketSignup.io and click on blog and then sign up for those as well. So I think those are important pieces because that means you're going to get the most up-to-date information on our recent blogs or our recent product releases, I should say, in the form of a blog. And most often they're going to have a step-by-step tutorial with even a video that's going to explain how to use it. So very valuable and keeps you up to date on everything. And then speaking of email, so we've got our email system where you're sort of generating those emails and proactively sending them out. But we've also got our automated emails. Don't forget about those. So you want to make sure that maybe somebody starts a registration, and as long as they've given us their email address, then you can automate the cart, or you can send out the cart abandonment email. So that reminds them like, hey, you started registering for the event, you didn't finish, you should finish, it's an awesome event. You can also send out the automated price increase emails, so that way people know, and I think most races see their largest spikes in activity around those price increase periods. You can build lists of attendees that exclude those who have already purchased. So that's an incredibly powerful way to have a dynamic list that you're not constantly updating in Excel, right? So I can have my list of 30,000 people that I upload as a custom list. Those are folks that I've just gotten over the years as people I market to. But then I can say include that list, but exclude everybody that has currently registered. So that way I am not sending communications out to folks that have already committed to me to run my race, but I'm getting everybody though on that major database, and it's gonna be in real time. So even if I were to set up the email a couple of days in advance and then send it out later, it's still going to keep taking those last 2 days of registrants and take them out of the email so they don't get something telling them to sign up when they've already signed up. I mean, it's so smart, it's cool, it's automated, it's free. I mean, just so many great things about it. And then a note here, oh, email capture on your website. So that's what this screenshot is showing here. So if this is out of the registration flow, if somebody visits your website and you turn this on, you can be collecting data that way. And then also a point to use Facebook remarketing and Google remarketing to deliver ads to visitors on your website. All right, so now we're going to lean into sort of the creative piece and specifically drilling down with referrals when we're talking about creativity. Okay, and first I just wanted to show sort of this marketing funnel, and this is one that we use internally here and what many marketers use in lots of different industries and businesses. So that first here, right, we're garnering or we're getting awareness by putting our ads out on Facebook and Google. Then we're using our websites and social media to have people more consider, taking action. And then there's engagement, right? We're sending out emails, we're doing newsletters, we're out at local events, and then that purple tier there at the bottom, we're actually converting. We're using price discounts, the easy purchase pass, like those quick QR links that allow people to, or that are actually turning people into a purchase. But what happens there, right? Does it stop when we get them to register? No. We've got that funnel starts expanding again, right? Because we're going to be doing more activities with those that we have now gotten into our tribe, right? Or into our event space. They're going to be joining us on event day, but how do we move them into growing even more people? And that's when we get to referrals. So what is a referral? It occurs when a participant convinces a friend or a family member to join them at the event, okay? And the way that we execute that on RunSignup is that we generate unique tracking links for each participant so that you can track referrals. And by you tracking, I mean, you're not doing anything. The system is tracking those referrals. So every time somebody uses that unique URL for a registrant, that person is getting credit for it, okay? And then you can turn that into a way to incentivize them to keep sharing that link. And why are we talking about referrals so much? The numbers do not lie, guys. 8% of our 2021 transactions were from referrals. And then when we're looking at CPA, so cost per action, we are looking at $1.40 for these using our referral rewards. If you look at any of the statistics with the CPA of what a Facebook ad does or in other marketing activities, you're gonna have to multiply that by 7 or sometimes 20 or 30 times to get an action in terms of cost. So this is a 7th or maybe a 30th of the cost of other activities. So, it doesn't hurt to even try it anyway, right? The cost is so low, there's really no risk. We offer it for free. So if you're not doing referrals, I really encourage you to consider that after today. And then I want to point out that so some events that are really aggressive with their referral programs, and aggressive that can sound negative, but I think being proactive or being excited and passionate about their referral programs, you can get up to 25%, and we see it often. And the way they do that is they talk about their referral program in all of their emails. They put it on their homepage. They put images of the swag that you can earn and remind people that you're getting refunds. So they really put it out in front for people. It's not just something in an FAQ list or hidden on another page. So how do we inch towards that 25% referral goal? So you want to make sure that you've got a high enough reward. $5 is not going to cut it, okay? And I've seen some groups that have effectively done, 1 referral equals $5, get 2 referrals equals $10, but I think you set that first tier at the $15 mark at least. And that tells somebody, man, I'm at least going to share out my link. I have nothing to lose. It doesn't cost me anything. And getting $15 back, that'd be pretty awesome. And then in terms of the threshold, we put it at about 3 to 5 referrals. Okay, so that is the goal that you want to set for people to reach before they get that first incentive. So it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I think everybody feels like I could maybe get 1 person. 3 or 5 could be a stretch, but why not? I might get $15 back. So they're going to be willing to try. And then you move on in this system, and you're going to start stacking those referrals to offer more refunds and swag. So here's kind of an example here where you might offer a $20 refund for 3 referrals, but a $40 refund once they get to 8. And then you might actually pair it with or do instead of the refunds, you might offer a special swag. Or maybe the branded sweatshirt doesn't hit until they get to 10 or 12 referrals. So you can be, again, creative to think about what speaks to your people. And maybe it's not refunds and swag, but it's refunds and experiences. So I recently was at an event, Cycle of Hope, out in the Silicon Valley in California, and people that were top referrers got into a special VIP tent where there were retreats and massage therapists. So it doesn't always have to be tangible like money or a swag item. It can also be an experience. So, and here's that creativity that we're doing. So that just like you're sitting down with your team to figure out like why your event exists, what's the value proposition, what do people get out of your event, what's your personality of your event, talk about what are all the things that you could offer. Is it swag, like a premium jacket, a tote bag, a t-shirt? Is it refunds, which, you know, and I'll say, for those that are wondering, that is where we see the most activity and the most success is when refunds are being offered. But then let's go to those experiences. So are you giving them VIP parking? Are you having an ice cream social after the event or at a later date, access to a hospitality tent, guaranteeing them an entry into an event that normally sells out? So these are all options that you can do for your referrers, your top referrers, I should say. And then continue the engagement over email with your referrers, okay? So remind them, your participants, of the value of referring friends and family in those follow-up emails. Use our data replacement tags with our email platform to plug in, here is your unique referral link, please share this out, and by the way, you might get $15 back. Like, keep reminding them that in case they missed it. You can also, just a couple of reminders on these emails, cross promote with other events. Make sure you're telling them about the rest of your season that's coming up. And then if you're able to run a report to see who are the people that have reached the different referral levels, right? And when you do that, maybe you're sending a special list out to all the people that got that first $15 refund and reminding them that they can get up to $40 if they just get 3 more referrals, right? So, you know, you can use our automated system, but also stay on top of your data, so that you can be sending really targeted messages that speak to those people that are your superstars and your top performers, because they're the ones that are listening and they're the ones that will take action. All right, and speaking of, you know, people that are listening and also people who are getting listened to, influencers. So from these referral programs, you might really see those superstars I talked about, and you can engage with them to do more. Maybe they have a large following on a social media platform, and we're not talking about the latest TikTok superstar with millions of followers. You know, it could be just, you know, a few thousand people in your local community. But if that's a few thousand endurance athletes that are looking at what events they're doing, those are great people to get on board with you. And what we talked about before is, you know, always bringing something to the table when you're asking for something. So what can you do for them? Can you give them a special takeover one day of your social media where they talk about, you know, themselves, but also like within the context of their event, you know, in exchange for them talking about your event on their platform page. So just thinking about how it's, you know, it can be a nice balanced relationship where both sides are seeing benefits. And then we want to remind you to capitalize on video. So create a branded race video, guys. There's a lot of tools out there, you know, with Canva and with other things that are really, you know, within the hands of people like myself that are not designers, but can produce something that actually looks decent. And also point out that, you know, investing in a videographer can be a real worthy expenditure on your budget line item, especially if you're looking to have a really great day. So I always tell organizers, it's like, if you're coming up on a really rainy day and you're paying $3,000 for a videographer to come out, maybe that's a potential line item savings for this year. But if it's looking like gorgeous, 65 degrees, sunny, man, and you don't have a videographer, get online and find one, get them out there, because you could end up getting enough content, you know, for 2 or 3 years of marketing materials by getting those. But you also have to remember, you've got photographers and videographers out there at all times, everybody on social media who's taking pictures. So make sure that you're reminding them of your hashtags so that it's easy to find all of that content, and then you can you know, pull it together and make fun reels on Instagram and use it before the event next year. You can use it post-event to remind people of all the fun that they had, get them excited when registration is going to reopen. So many ways to use all of this amazing content. And then, we talked about being creative with the referrals. Think about just being creative in general, guys. This is the time, when we're seeing, sort of a rough return to races in the endurance space. What can we try that's new? So outside of the box swag, and I always remind people, it doesn't always have to be a shirt. It can be a hat. It can be socks, something that doesn't necessarily have the sizing element to it, or as bad of a, or not bad, but as nuanced of a sizing element, so that you can, order less of something, knowing that it's going to fit more people, right? So you can do things too. If you're really involved in a timing event, maybe you can offer an untimed event. Maybe you're going to offer a series of events that if they participate in all of them, they're going to receive a special medal or maybe a refund. Or maybe you're reaching out to other organizers that you now become, so that you're not doing all the work and you're each doing your own piece of the series, and then you're working collectively to make one medal and you're sharing the costs between all of you, right? So you don't have to do this alone. What are some new themes and ideas that speak to people now, as our society and economy and everything just keeps changing? Building a partnership with a new nonprofit or sponsor. I talked earlier, like go to the sponsor you've had your eye on, and man, they might be in boardrooms talking about how can we engage with our community more. And if you come to them and say, we'll build something that works for you, that's music to their ears. And I'm sure that they're going to garner or throw all the support they can to that. And if it's a large corporation with a large network of customers, then you've got a huge marketing engine at your fingertips. And then I mentioned the Instagram moments before, but do that again. Have, if it's a pumpkin run, have like a massive blow up inflatable pumpkin. Create costume contests, things that are visually stunning and interesting, so that people will want to be sharing this out where they have that ability to reach a lot of other people. Okay, and then this last section that we're going to cover is tracking your ROI. So it doesn't make sense to do all of this and not understand what's happening with your data and how well things are going or not going. So again, yeah, creativity only leads to long-term success when you can measure which experiments work and which ones don't. So that's reinforcing that. Talking about Facebook, so the Pixel and Conversion API. We actually have an amazing blog at runsignup.blog that talks about Conversion API and what the difference is between Pixel and API. But basically, just with more security and privacy concerns, Pixel has become less effective, and the Conversion API piece is allowing to capture some of the things that are getting lost by Pixel. And so by turning on both of these pieces, having the Pixel in place and the Conversion API access token, you can make sure that you are collecting all the potential conversions that are happening from your activities on Facebook. And then also we've got these site-wide codes for a lot of different platforms and sites, and specifically with TikTok. So we encourage you to take a look at those. Custom source tracking. So we have a way to create URLs, sort of like if you've ever used the site Bitly, where you're creating a sort of a short code that is specific to a campaign or an ad or a marketing initiative that you're doing. So with our source tracking, you're basically doing the same thing. You're creating a unique, traceable link, and you can actually assign dollars to it so that you can get a return, an ROI calc within your dashboard on RunSignup. How cool is that? So use these for social ads and organic posts, sponsor supports of the event. So if they're doing a special ad, create a code for them and ask them to use it. Email sends from other platforms or other events, charity partner promotion, guest blogs, really anything. So that way you can measure where something is being effective. And again, you can quickly see it and easily on your dashboard. And these are just some screenshots that are showing sort of the flow of it. So you start with adding a code, you can create whatever code you'd like, the dollar amount, and then you'll see a list of all of the codes you've created and how many dollars have come in from registrations that have come from those URLs. And then it shows all your links there as well. So very effective and helpful. And here we've got another list here of all the tracking that's happening with these. And you can see they're dating their Twitter post or their Facebook post or which MailChimp email they sent out. So you can really get detailed if you'd like and really understand what's working for you and what's not. And that'll help you pivot and move to other things that might be more effective or get away from things that aren't so effective. All right, so that was a lot of information, and obviously we couldn't go into all the details of everything, but I hope that it's at least given you some ideas on things to dig in deeper to, or things that maybe you have used that you want to return back to or haven't used, or if you're brand new to our platform, your head might be spinning and thinking, how am I going to enact all of this? Well, we're going to cover any questions. I'm going to ask Nancy to come on and help me if we have anything to talk about with the group right now. Otherwise, we've got an extensive knowledge base, guys, on our website. If you go to runsignup.com, you've got that blog I mentioned. And also, if you're with us already, you can reach out to your account manager and ask about anything that I've talked about today, or reach out to info@runsignup.com, and our general support will help. So, Nancy, is there anybody that, or any question you think that would make sense to cover with the group?
Well, Steve, there was an interesting question because, it's turkey trot season, right? So
Absolutely.
we've got a lot of races that attract big flocks of friends and flocks of family. And we had someone ask about the difference between a family signing up 4 or 5 people at a time, and did that qualify as a referral? If one family group signed up 5 at a time, is
Yes.
that 1 sign up and 4 referrals, or is that just 1 sign up? But I thought maybe you might want to address maybe some creative ideas attracting flocks of friends and family.
Yes, you're having some good word use there of our theme, Nancy. I appreciate that. Yes. So first of all, with the referrals, every registration counts as a referral. So whether somebody's doing that in one transaction or in multiple transactions, each registration is then credited. So if you get a family of 5 to sign up, and that first referral reward is at 5 referrals and it's $20 back, you just made $20 by getting one family to sign up. So it could be even less work than you think. So that's a great point. And I think what a lot of groups do at real family-focused events, what organizers do, is offer using some of our tools, group discounts and family discounts and age-based pricing discounts. So that way, it can be really expensive if a turkey trot is charging $40 for every person and you have a family of 5 or 6, right? But maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of those members are children. You can offer a special price that is much lower for those families to encourage and make it more affordable, and therefore encourage more participation, more people talking about your event, being those ambassadors and bringing in more families in. You can also offer a discount that's automatically applied if it's 3 or more people, 4 more people, 5 more people. If you were to look on our knowledge base, or even just Google RunSignup and then whatever topic you're looking for, I do it all the time. Google is a great search engine and gets me right to our help articles. But looking up age-based pricing, group discounts, and then we talked a little bit earlier about sort of incentivizing groups to join. And so we actually have automated refunds, so that, let's say you just want a friend group to be a flock at your turkey trot. Well, encourage people to say, once that third person joins a flock, then the person number 1 and number 2 get an automatic discount of $5, and everybody after that in the flock is getting the $5 discount right off the bat. So that's an incentive to say, look, I want you to join a team, but I got to, let's put some skin in the game. Let's see, y'all, get at least 3 members of your team, and then bam, we're going to start saving you money. So I think there's a few tools there that you could look into to really encourage those group participations at your next turkey trot.
And the other thing that popped up, Steve, was I think a lot of people out watching today are really excited about the QR codes and the quick text options, and maybe just reminding them where they can find that once they set up their event.
Yes, absolutely. So I believe I'm going to come back to my presentation here, because I believe we're going to, let's see, here we are. So, oops, sorry, I just went a little past. Let me come back to my slideshow view of that. So under promotion and links is where you're going to find those. And then there's the 2 tabs. So for each one, for your homepage link or your photos or your results, you can toggle between the QR code and the text message link to get one or the other for each of those types.
That's terrific. don't know if you want to give it just a couple more minutes to see if anybody else will toss a question in here. Otherwise, I think we've answered either offline or during the presentation all the questions that have come up today. But like we said at the start, this was a jam-packed, chock-full crash course, thanks to Steve. And so, as Steve has mentioned, referring to the blog, and reaching out to your account manager will always get you an answer to a question that you might have. Steve, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, thanks, Nancy, for helping with those questions. And I think for people to know that we will be sending out a recorded link of this session, as well as all of the slides that you saw today. So if you were, if you're worried about organizing a bunch of screenshots that you were taking during that, you don't have to. We're going to send these slides out to you so that you can use those, and hopefully that will help you move forward as you start setting some of these things up or exploring them more. So. Yeah, but I think in general, just thanks everyone. We know it's been a slow return back to the numbers that we want in this industry. I myself am an organizer, as well as many employees here at RunSignup. So we're in the trenches with you. We feel that pain, and we're constantly talking with our developers and our team to find new tools, or to take existing tools and make them even easier to use or even more effective, so that you all can have more success. So thanks again, everybody, and please reach out with any questions, and we'll see you on the next webinar.